In August of 1939, one of the most fateful agreements of the 20th century was signed between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union in something known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was a non-aggression pact that was signed between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, where they agreed not to attack each other or to align themselves with any nation that was at war with the other. Well, what the world didn't know at the time is that there was a secret protocol with the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact where both of these brutal dictatorships agreed to divide the country of Poland up between the two of them. Now, I happen to be in southern Poland right now, in the city of Sanok, and right here next to me is the San River, and this was going to be one of the dividing points between the territory occupied by Nazi Germany and then over on the other side by the Soviet Union. And after the invasion of Poland by both of these countries, the Soviet Union was going to start constructing a series of bunkers along this line that later became known as the Molotov Line. Off in the distance there, you can see the city of Sanok. And in September of 1939, the Germans would have made it all the way up to this point. Now, shortly after the launch of the invasion of Poland in September of 1939, the Soviets would have invaded from the east. And they would have occupied all the way up to the eastern bank of the San River here. Now, as I mentioned, after the invasion of Poland, the Soviets started constructing a series of bunkers that became known later in history as the Molotov Line. It wasn't known by that name at the time. But this was a series of bunkers that was designed to protect their new western border. Well, then in June of 1941, before they got that line fully completed, well, the Germans launched Operation Barbarossa and invaded across this river and then occupied this territory. As a matter of fact, across the river here, they actually had a prisoner of war camp where I think around 10,000 Soviets died. It was Stalag 325 or 327. I can't remember for sure, but yeah, a lot of brutality and a lot of fighting that took place here in this region. All right, so we're going to cross the river and see if we can locate some of these old Soviet bunkers of the Molotov Line. All right, so we just got up here and are approaching the place where our first bunker is, overlooking the San River, and actually stumbled onto something that I didn't know was going to be here. Up here on top of this hill is a Soviet POW cemetery filled with who knows how many unmarked graves. So as I mentioned, down at the river there was a stalag down there where they kept Soviet prisoners of war, and I had read that about 10,000 POWs died in that camp. And again, you can see, all of these mass graves are marked with this Soviet red star. And if I'm being quite honest, this cemetery is not very well maintained. As a matter of fact, there are just broken bottles and trash, and here, look, here's another one of these mass graves, and you can see the marker, and it's just completely grown over. It looks like somebody maybe comes in and cuts down the brush and the weeds every once in a while, but beyond that, kind of in a rough shape. See, right here is what I'm talking about. You don't want to visit this cemetery barefoot because there is just busted up glass and trash everywhere. And then up here at the memorial, they have some candles here that people have lit. And right here, now I don't read Polish, but Google Translate does. And it told me that this says memories of murdered POWs, or memories of murdered Soviet POWs, is I think what it said. 1941 to 1944. Alright, well that was kind of an unexpected find. Kind of unfortunate to see the state of this cemetery. But anyway, if I was reading my information right, our bunker should be just right up ahead. Alright, well, I see a gate, and I see a path, and the gate's not locked. So I'm going to assume that this, oh yeah, holy smokes. Yeah, I do believe that we have found our bunker. And dang. That thing is huge. Okay, so I don't really know where to start here, but we're just gonna kind of walk around and see what we can see. So I've been to several bunkers in Normandy, and I've been to some German defenses in the area where the Battle of the Bulge was fought. But this is my first video doing anything on the Eastern Front. I've always wanted to come out here. But man, I didn't even, to be honest with you, didn't even know that this bunker complex existed. And this is crazy. Like I have to admit, I don't really have any information like, you know, what I would in Normandy about the bunkers and what guns would have been there and different things like that. So just gonna have to kind of see things right along with me here, and we'll just have to do some speculation and maybe learn a little bit more later. But this was certainly something big at one point. Oh, and somebody left us a shovel. Maybe we can do a little bit of archaeology work and see if we can dig up a Mosin-Nagant or something. Okay, coming around the back side of this bunker now, and yeah, we can see a little bit of the reinforcement there. Man, it's hard for me to tell if this is battle damage or if this is just something post-war where they were trying to destroy this, or if it's just the ravages of time. I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at here, but here's what I do know. So this bunker is way up on top of a hill. Oh, look at that. Look at the groundhog poking his head out from behind the bunker there. That's my son. But we're way up on top of a hill here. So obviously have a commanding view. And if these trees were all cleared out, well, this direction is looking right towards the San River. So this is the Soviet position, and it would have been overlooking the city of Sanok, which the Germans were occupying. So it makes complete sense that they would have a large bunker like this positioned in this spot. And I imagine whenever Barbarossa kicked off, there was a lot of action here, I would guess. Do it. I did like the picture. It's pretty dang cool, isn't it? Yeah, I'm filming you. You're supposed to say something intelligent now. Give some insight as to what we're looking at.
A destroyed bunker.
Well, that's about all the information I have.
I don't know how it got. What the heck? It's a cat.
Oh.
That's a pretty cat.
Hey, cat. Are you a nice cat, or are you a mean cat? Yeah, you seem like a nice cat. You got a collar. Oh, made a friend. Okay, we got a few more of these bunkers that we're wanting to take a look at, so we can't linger here too long, but I do want to try and find a way down here, because man, this must have been like a bunker that was built on different levels, because it is huge. And oh yeah, looky here. Oh, whoop, about to fall. Adjust my lighting here. Interesting. I hope that someone smarter than me is going to be watching this and can help me learn a little bit of what I'm looking at. This looks like just a big old cave. Fascinating. So those don't look like steel doors, because there's no hinges, but it's like a big giant steel plate. Yeah. Very, very interesting. All right, well, there's my first Soviet bunker. So anyway, we don't have a ton of time. We have a lot of other work that we're doing here in Poland, and just had a little bit of extra time today. So I saw where there are a few other bunkers here along the Molotov line. So we're gonna leave here and jet down the river and see what else we can find. All right, well, we just made our way down the road and found our next bunker up here ahead. But unfortunately, there's not much bunker. It's more just a big pile of rubble. All right, well, like I said, this one is less bunker and more just rubble. So I really wish that I knew what happened to these bunkers. If this is wartime destruction, if the Germans destroyed these bunkers, or if they were destroyed post-war. All that I know is that, boy, they're in a bad shape, and looks like the locals have kind of turned it into a trash pit, which is unfortunate. Would be kind of nice to see this cleaned up. That way I could get a little bit better idea of what I'm looking at. There is something that we can learn from this spot, though, even though it's hard to tell, you know, what this used to be. This is the view that I have in front of the bunker. And if you look off in the distance there, kind of across that field and at the base of those hills is the San River. So that would have been German territory, and the Soviets would have positioned their bunker back here to have a complete commanding field of fire in case the Germans crossed the river. So there are some natural lines of defense with the river, and then also you have these bunkers as a line of defense in case they cross. But all of these spots that they have bunkers are positioned around, you know, strategic low points around the river where somebody would be most likely to cross. All right, just hopped out of the car. We were at another bunker a couple kilometers down the road, but honestly, it was rubble just like the other one that we looked at, so we didn't spend any time there. But we got one more bunker that we're going to take a look at here, and just got a glance at it, and it looks like a cool one. Dude, look at this thing. I don't know exactly what we're looking at, but aesthetically, it's certainly cooler than anything we've seen so far in regards to the Soviet bunkers. Wow, this is really neat. Okay, so we got, you know, red star up there. It seems unlikely to me that they would have a giant red star on their bunker during World War II. So I'm going to make the assumption that that is a post-war thing. Yeah, and there's some writing up there. It looks like maybe in Polish that I can't read. So we'll have to maybe try and translate that. But dang, this thing looks pretty cool. And here's the view that they would have had from this particular bunker. All right, coming around the backside of this bunker now. Oh, wow. My son's already ran up here and is crawling around. Of all of the bunkers that we've seen, this one obviously is the most intact. And I wish to goodness I knew like what guns were in here or what they were used for. But yeah, this one definitely seems to have stood up to the ravages of time a little bit better than some of the others that we've seen. All right, let's swing around the backside here and see if we can find a way in. So it looks like there was a ladder there at one time and a big chunk has fallen off. And looks like another ladder that goes down to a hole. Huh. Let's see if we got an alternate way in. If I can avoid crawling in a real tight space, I'm going to. Okay, so obviously we had a steel door here at one time. So again, we're coming into the backside of the bunker. And huh. All right, well, yeah, here we can get a pretty good look. I'm trying not to fall and hurt myself here. A pretty good look at the inside of this Soviet bunker. And that does not look safe at all. That looks like something that would fall right on Wile E. Coyote's head if he were in here. Very, very interesting. Alright, coming in this same area, but just from a little bit different direction. There's where I was standing just a second ago. There's the Wile E. Coyote rock. And let me just come over here and kind of back up and show this. So I don't want to try and pass myself off as an engineer or anything like that. But it seems to me that these Soviet bunkers just weren't built with the same quality that you see with a lot of the German bunkers. And it's kind of obvious, you know, over time how these have crumbled, whereas a lot of the German bunkers have held up. And I don't know if maybe this wall that we're looking at here was once opened in the front, and then in the post-war era, you know, the Soviets blocked it up and put their, you know, sign out front. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of questions that I just don't have answers to. but it does interest me. All right, well, there you go. Those are a few of the Soviet bunkers along the Molotov Line right here in Poland. Very interesting to kind of explore this area around the Eastern Front, even though we didn't have a whole lot of time today. We'll definitely come back to Poland at some point and kind of explore this area a little bit more in depth than what we are able to right now. We tried to do a little translation on this sign right here, and it said something about remaining in the legend of days or something like that. But anyway, I guess we are off to the next place.